So we had an on-premise PBX that was beginning to be unsupported by our vendor. We hadn't been providing the software upgrades or getting the new features because it was very expensive at that point to get them. And then by the time that we could purchase them, the technology was really changing. The cloud services had really taken off, and they were more collaborative based. The Internet 2 service offering was really something that we felt confident about. We've been a member of Internet 2 for a long time. We were very confident with the other universities that were part of it, and we felt like this is something that can really be a future technology. It's a way to share resources. It's a way for us not to have to put so much capital investment on campus. It gives us flexibility in how much service we want to purchase or use. It gives our users flexibility, and then it was still a proven technology.
So right now, the challenge at the county ag offices they are dependent upon sometimes the county government for their telephone service. They're all typically elect-provided telephone service, so they're very disparate, very unique, standalone systems, even though most of them are provided by a local service provider. They don't really have that capability to transfer calls and go into a single dial plan, and that was one of the draws that we had when we were looking at this solution, was the business need that if a call comes into a certain county office, they can easily send it to a different county office or an expert out in the field, since we're looking at the whole mobility client aspect of the service. So it really fills a big niche from the older traditional telephone system, something that's more representative of a unified communication environment. First and foremost was probably the fact that the pricing was very competitive when we did an independent assessment against other vendor-based solutions. The other aspect had the, lack of a better term, seal of approval from Internet 2. They've done the pre-negotiation. They were very, very helpful in providing the backup documentation for both the procurement side and the contracting side, that we didn't have to go to an RFP for that.
My involvement with Internet 2 began in about 2004. I started chairing the Voice over IP working group for Internet 2, and since then we had been able to establish what's referred to as an ITEC. ITEC stands for Internet 2 Technology Evaluation Center. Originally there were 4 of them. I think we're probably the last ITEC standing. But in essence, it's a facility to be able to test out applications and research new services and things like that. The ITEC at Texas A&M University primarily looks at real-time communications. So we do voice and video. We work mainly with IPTV services, and then obviously with things like the Net Plus service. We've been able to get support from Internet 2 to help fund an engineer, to help support the lab. But most of our funding has come from generous donations from manufacturers. For example, we have one of the Astra ClearSpan proxies within the lab itself, a resource that would be very difficult for a university to support without something like this.
I did not think we were going to be able to get the pricing approved based off of the procurement process Internet 2 went through our purchasing group. But they bought off on it because Internet 2 provided, here's our procurement process, here are the results from the RFP, here's the evaluation criteria, all played into that. And then in addition to the contracts have been worked through various universities. Granted, our general counsel also had to have their stamp of approval, and we had some modifications, I think, to the standard out of the box agreement, but I think that's natural. But having it, halfway through the marathon of getting a contract through, the process helps.
We're happy to be on an advisory committee where we can have input into how the service works and how the service is moved into the future, what things we can change. And higher education really does have some unique requirements for people. And we don't have a lot of control over all the faculty and staff on campus. We have to provide services that they really need and that they are happy to have.
There's a number of applications like that the community has asked for, that we have been working on and are working towards. And that's the important thing, is we have a steering committee, and it's a steering committee that really pushes us to go where we're going, tells us what to do, and what's important to them as well. So it's not just a few folks at A&M saying, wouldn't this be fun? Our steering committee, which again is both Internet 2 and non-Internet 2 members, make up that steering committee, meet with them on about a quarterly basis, and say, hey, where should we be going next?
There were a number of things that we were looking to achieve by upgrading and replacing the PBX telephone system with voice over IP. As a part of Internet 2, we created the Boreas Net, which gave us the ability to have geographic diversity and redundancy in the telephone system. So from an operational reliability and from a disaster recovery perspective, it gave us both of those things. Future-proofing our network, being able to upgrade telephone features, upgrade system features, create software that you don't have to put out large capital expenses for on a regular basis, were all reasons why we chose the Internet 2 solution. In addition, it allows us to change with the systems as things pop up, and being a standard-based system, it allows us to integrate those standards into future communications.
I learned very quickly from that experience that everything is so much easier when you're working in a standards-based environment. There are a number of proprietary protocols out there used by a number of other vendors, and the problem with that, again, is your opportunity to integrate solutions from other companies, from other service providers, and from other areas are somewhere between impossible and close to impossible.
We're looking at saving probably 30 to 40% after we completely deploy the entire university. The ClearSpan product, since we have a POP in Houston and one in New York, it was also logical that we would move to the cloud-based services, because if we have to leave New Orleans because of a hurricane, we can bring up services in a matter of days.
I mean, the pilot allowed us to test a system that we have no experience with, especially in a very unique architecture where our customers are getting the service from the Internet 2 Astra cloud through the local Penn State private cloud across an internet connection, which could be a cable modem, to a small remote, I don't say remote, but a small office in the corner of the state. So there's a lot of moving pieces involved, and without the pilot, we would have never any confidence that it was going to be able to work.
The ROI was quite a bit better than any of the other vendors that we got a response from. So we have really we're estimating about $600,000 a year using this product. Overall, our costs have gone down. We feel like our service and our future-looking abilities have all gone up, and so we feel like we're in a really good place.